Okay, so we are starting a new parak here, parak Chafei on the screen, Gaonim at Kufa Shlishis, and in the Rabinowitz text on parak Tes Vav, which is not named. Ubatzrei Hon, and after them, Gaonim Pumbedisa, Mar Rabbi Shaya Halevi Bar Mar Rabbi Abba Umin Kaludoi Hava Masa. He was come from Kaludoi, Masa the car of Baghdad, the city which is near Baghdad. Malch B'Shnas Kuf Zayin, and it became the Gaon in Kuf Zayin, 795. So in the Rabinowitz, he says uh, we're talking about the going back to Goni Pumbedisa, and before we had an interview with the Goni Basura, now back on Pumbedisa, and from his Kolodoi, he says Zeman Yen Shara Sherira Gon Maskiras Hamotzah Shabbi Shaya B'Shav Yosef Mishilhi in the next paragraph. Shrav Shunonoi. And they are he doesn't, however, give a explanation here, but he says look back at page 142, which is weird because his page numbers are not in Arabic numerals; they're in Hebrew script, Hebrew. So I don't know why he uses an Arabic page number here, but let's see, 142. I don't see any. Am I looking in the wrong place? Dalit Amud 142. There is no.
Maybe he means the footnote numbered 142.
There is no footnote 142. There's no. It's not that page 142. It's not Parakut Dalit either. Um, Maybe it's in his Mavo, but that's also not. Says there's no Parakut Dalit in the Mavo, is there? No.
Mercudal is just the previous parak. So.
But there's no page 142 there.
Right. Reishei
Okay,
Galusa
well,
42 is the previous page. That doesn't seem to do it.
okay, some sort of interesting typo there.
Yeah.
All right, so page 142 is mamish nothing about it. Okay, so continuing on. Uh, Base bar Mar Rabbi Yosef bar Rav Shila Mishalchi B'Shnas Kuftes. Base bar Rav Kana Gaon bar Mar Rav Chaninoi Gaon Shnas Kuftes Vo. Base Mar Rav Ivu Moi. Interesting name. Gaon. Achi Aviv Reid Mar Amrei Mar Avram Gaon. He was the great nephew of Rav Avram Gaon Shnas Kufchav Aleph. Okay, fine. Ubasrei Mar Rav Yosef Braid Mar Rav Abba B'Shnas Kuf Chav Hey. Oops. V'loya duchte. V'lo have a duchte. What does it mean? What do you say here? From a lawyer who sheba kisei gonu shah based in her adif men of Torah. Okay, that's a strong statement. Dava Mara, he was, even though he was the goal, which is tantamount to the Nasi, he was not. He was not appropriate for that position. Dava Marav Aaron Kume. There's of Aaron Kume. I assume Kume is refers to the place where whoever this person came from came from. Dava Ab based in, who was not based in, which is the lower position. Vava Gomir V'Adiv Tvemine. He learned, but he knew how to learn better and was superior to him. Miu de Chalom ad Borei Marav Yosef Gaon. There was a dream. Okay. I'm sure does not tell us what the dream was. Chalom Reishei Galusa l'chach me'yeshiva tzivun limnosus Rav Yosef Lagon. Okay, interesting. V'abachosi tuva. Evidently, even though he was not so learned, here we see it's kind of like this Lithuanian bias here. He didn't know how to learn so well, but he was a chassid. He was a very pious person. V'zakin moed, very elderly. Vitmar dav as Eliyahu zacha dov yasim v'sifta b'yamim delay. And it said that Eliyahu HaNavi used to come to the yeshiva and sit in during that time. So, okay, very cool. I guess that's why they um, um, he came to. It says a whole rush up here for what he came to listen to, but um, I don't. It doesn't really make a difference. There's a long note here on page Reishei and Dov. I don't think this is important for us. Uh, um, mm, uh, no, I don't see anything important significant here. Just taking a look at the footnotes here. No. Okay. So Yom Echad Amru Rabbanan, one day he said to rabbis, Katsi v'ishtatif, when I get old and they and I be to go. No, he says when I sit down. Kad si v'ishtatif, when I sit down and when I going chazing. That's how the Rabinowitz says it. What does it say here? No, here it says kad shiv. So different interpretation here, right? So the in Rabinowitz he says kasher eshev v'chazar limudim, right? When I sit and I go over my learning. So in the screen he says kasher nizdakem od kach shamati. Oh, then he says katziv ishtativ kasher yisim nishtatech oretz lijosh ibnem keder rosh yeshivas me'oz. What? When he lay down on the ground in order to darshan? That's news to me. He said in any event, he said to the people who were there. So either when he got old and ishtativ is unclear what that means according to that, or when he sat down and he was or he said when I sit down and when I get old and ishtativ whatever that means, or when I sit down and I start learning, leave room for another elderly person who's coming to be with me. And they didn't see anybody. And they knew it was Eliyahu who came. And they left a lot of room for Eliyahu HaNavi to sit down. And now, till this day, that we leave over room on the right side, Mistar Reisha, at the side of the head. So in the Rabinowitz, he says, "Barosh Ha'olam," at the head of the hall. Here translates, which I would translate more the head next to the Rosh Yeshiva. Like meaning yeshivas looking the screen. Meaning yeshivas Pumbedisa u'sheminichim makom panui b'tzadim yishua yeshiva makom she'mateh sham Rosh Yeshiva's rosho, the place where the Rosh Yeshiva would incline his head. Again, he says, "Ki yushvim agaberetz Rosh Yeshiva shochev al tzido." I don't remember having this. That the Rosh Yeshiva would lie on his side when saying shir. I don't think we had this. Rav Yosef Gaon zeh shebal Eliyahu HaNavi zaradov v'yashem sham. Again, ein echad rotzeh l'yoshev sham. Now nobody wants to sit there. Machmas kol shel Eliyahu shema gam afato yirtzeh lavo lishma b'limudim v'leitzah makom panoi. Okay, so the custom was still extant until the times of Sherira Gaon. Now I guess he didn't know how to learn so well, but he still was a holy person. So, V'hayin Rafkin Hashem B'tzai Min Mistar Reisha Minahu Maisahu. Okay, I don't know how he knows they're lying on the ground. Beats me. But the point is, the left room for Eliyahu HaNavi. Vavi Avi Gaon Avi Avinu Haya Sofro. Oh boy, let's who this is. The Rosh Hashanah Mali of Shira Gaon. Okay. Grandfather, his great grandfather, Haya Sofro, was his like his secretary. And he stood to assist with running the yeshiva his entire life. V'yom Iftar, the day he died, this Mar Yosef Braden Mar Rabava, have a Zav Gadol. There was a tremendous earthquake, and there was Nadas Ara, and there was the land shook. The Itma Nami is also stated. That he was very much Moser Nefesh. He was very self-abnegating, I think is the term, on his youth, on his learning. He says here, by the way, in the notes on Reishei above in the commentary, he says that there was a big earthquake in 816, maybe it was around this time. But in any event, he was when he was young, he was very mitzvah himself. Al tuva gursa b'yagusay birchazay marav shinoigon. So marav shinoigon gave brachmas hisket dabra umasoch. You're going to be zoicha, that you're going to lead your nation. I guess that's why they appointed him. What about the dream? Okay. I guess besides the dream, there was this
Blessing.
this prediction. Interesting. Here the our screen fellow puts in some editorializing. He says, "Kain Rahu Anigas Yisrael Mishla Matar Baby Aldu Sovtiat Small Tamudo Bishachanu Rab." It's only appropriate to appoint a leader, not somebody who's mitzar himself during his youth. Vayom Nefchol Leinu Ra. Today it's things have changed for the worse. Chomish Bocher Befkerus. Anybody who chooses to be dissolute, Meitziros no Mishma Torah, and chooses to reject learning Torah. He's chosen to stand at the head, even in the parties of those who fear God. Okay, a little bit of editorializing there. Oh, he wasn't. This Mario Yosef was not Gaon for very very long, only for 2 years, and he died either in 815 or 816, depending around that time. He has although I'm not going to go into it, with page Reishei Zayin, he has a long discussion of how exactly the years work out. But it's not. I don't think we're particularly concerned with that. Okay. Bekam Basrei Mar Rav Avram Bar Marv Sherira B'Shnas Kuf Chav Zayin U'Malach Yud Beis Shonim V'Avam, he was going for 12 years. Mar Rav Yosef Bar Marv Chia Beis. I don't remember that before this last generation we had this these twin positions of Nasi and Abbas, which of course goes back to the time of the Zugos, Namor Tanoim. But I think we had hiatus for many hundreds of years in this existence of these dual positions. Anyway, Uberplukta de Daniel v'David bar ben Yehuda Nisim Ikra Marav Yosef b'Gaonus. So the Matan the Machlokas of Daniel and David ben Yehuda, who evidently were two rival Reishei Gola. So Rav Yosef is called to be the Gaon. Let's see the text here. Plukta the Daniel v'David Yehuda Nasi Shemesa Nasi Midas Daniel b'no l'Nasi b'achar kamashin kam David achi b'kesh l'adiach l'sachim v'nasius. So it's two brothers who are rivals. These Nasiim come over. Nasai mina David HaNasi as Mar Yosef l'Gaon Pumbedisa come Mar Rav Avram shene'aman l'Achiv. Okay, so there was this rivalry. Page Reish Mem Ches, he brings down here in the commentary, we know from other sources that this machlok is brought from the Khalif, and a result of this was a tremendous degradation in the status of the Rosh Gola. It's possible that the the quest for a compromise was the cause for the Gezerah of the Khalif Mamun, which permit independent religious sects. According to this Gezerah, any group of 10 Jews, Christians, Zoroastrians, and Karoim were allowed to band together like a separate community and choose themselves a leader. This is very reminiscent of what happened with Rabbi Sham Shavuot Hirsch and the General Frankfurt community in the 1800s. The German law. Obviously, this undermined the authority of Rosh Gola, because until now he had the sole support of the government. So this evidently was a tremendous degradation of the power of the Rosh Gola. And Daniel, he says, was supported by the rich and influential Kilo Baghdad, or by the rich influential portion of Kilo Baghdad, and we assume by the Mesivtan Surah. And it's possible that he was also a sympathizer of Karaites. All right, that's very different. I don't know why the Mesivtan Surah supported him. And it's possible he was the brother of David, his rival. So he says it's possible, not it's definite. And he continues on and says that some people say that this David was a descendant of the Persian wife of Bustanite, and he was supported by the Mesivtan Pumbedisa. And he became Rosh Gola because he is mentioned as the Rosh Gola who appointed Rabbi Yitzchak in 833 later on in this chapter. Okay, so anyway, at the end, going back to the text, it was Sof Paisu Batoy Bendi Mara Avram Mikushne Gaonim. So they're at the end, the two both of them, one appointed by Daniel, one appointed by David, were both called Gaonim. Miukam Mechlefina Tarvai Bechara Duchta, but they both staying together in the same location. Masni Mara of Avram, Rab Avram would say the Shir, Biasi Mara Yosef Kamei. Yosef stood in front of him. He says in the commentary that he's not sure which Rosh Gola supported whom. Okay. That's not important for us. Okay, but Zimnachad at one time, Asla Baghdad, they came to Baghdad, Bisam Beknishta the Bar Nashla. And they came to the shul of Bar Nashla. Evidently, this is a famous shul at the time. At the Great Kala. Doesn't give any more explanation. And when the Shliach Tzibur got announced, Shimona my desave Reishei Mesivta Lememar. Listen and hear what the Reishei Mesivta want to say. So I guess he introduced both of them with the same status. Bochli saw, so everybody cried. Is that why? Because he says they always heard the Shliach Tzibur announcing my Savar Reish Mesivta Lememar Reishei Mesivta. So this is so he thought it's he puts it in on the screen here. But Niva Kosher so he's Parkus Mosai Gonus Bifrat Mustos Hanogas Klisol Bichlal Kmo Churban Abayis. They thought it was like the Churban Abayis. Really? Therefore they cried. Okay. Fine. I don't know if we take it that far, but V'amar Rav Yosef, V'af Mar Rav Yosef is Daza. It also was shaken. The Kamar Gloi, and he got up on his feet and said, "My sleekest nav showing me goinus. I'm removing myself from the goinus. The Hajjis Avos Beis Din, and I'm going to go back to Avos Beis Din to be Ab Beis Din." L'arta B'Chem Mar Avram, immediately Bar Avram blessed him, and he said, "Marachmon Lizakach L'Amad Asi Delay." Because Baruch Hu should bless you with his chelik and on mabah. What does he mean? He's giving his chelik on mabah to him?
Something like that. Sounds like.
Yeah, It's weird. Okay, I'm sure it's just a figure of speech if that's what you meant. Um, okay. Um, anyway, the Rabbi Rabinowitz notes very similar to what happened between Gamliel and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, but okay, so it's similar. Whoop-de-doo. Okay. Anyway, exciting times. B'sar Ma'avram Rav Yosef Dinan. Rav Yosef, our Rabbi Yosef. Why is it Dinan? Oh, okay. The one who was Mevater. Was he after Rabbi Avram died? So Rav Yosef took over. Mishnat's Kuflam Mates, and the year that's 827. Okay, Shani, and he himself became Gaon in the end. Everything that came out that he became Gaon in the end for 6 years on his own. Okay, how far does this parak go? Quite a bit. Want to stop here? I want to continue later over there.
One more.
Basrei Marav Yitzah Bar Avunoi B'Shnaz Kuf Mem Hey V'Achsoi. They took him down. Really? The deal Marav Yosef Bar Marav Rabbi. The Abbas Tim Mishnei the Marav Yosef Bar Marav Chia Bar Chachim Tuva. Okay, so they took him down because of somehow the Marav Yosef was a greater Talmid Chacham and more suitable for the Gaonis. Okay, not sure so why they put up Rav Yitzchak in the first place. Especially because already based him before. Ben Dodena Hava. It was our cousin. Bar Breder Marav Abba Ziknenu. It's not a first cousin, distant cousin. Marav Yitzchak have a question. Okay, so I guess that's why they take Rav Yitzchak first, because he was older. Kad Samki David Barhuna Nasi the Marav Yitzchak was, and when David Barhuna, who was the Nasi, took Rav Yitzchak, be the Gaon Kasher and Marav Rav Yosef. It was difficult to Marav Rav Yosef. Ascha Rav Yitzchak Libasei. So Yitzchak came to, I assume, Rav Yosef. Varman, he said, Dayana de Bava. It should not be difficult to you. Dayan of the gates, which I guess was his way of giving honor as the Abbasin. So that's what Rabinowitz says. The honor Karab of Rav Yosef on it. We're like Rabba and Rav Yosef. In other words, I'm like Rabba, and I'm gonna die. I'm gonna be gone for some amount of time, and then I'm gonna die, I guess, and you're gonna take over. Just Rav Yosef. And the reason why you're not taking over first is because, like so, Yosef saw that if he became dying first, Nasi first. The Nasi first, he died first, so therefore he pushed off to after Rabba died, which is many years later. So too, I guess, with you as well. Amar Muftach at the Chayis v'Zachis Basroi. He says, I foresee that you will live and you're going to be dying, going after me. V'Savra Kibbutz Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef accept this. V'Yisratzilei. Okay, fine. Farmalei Karoi Kamei. I bow down to you. Korani Fnei Rosh Hashiva. Kach Minag Shakatan Shemakabel Morris Agol Mena Yokurkrel Fanav Osach Noah. Shotza Mala Mishgol Mena Kabani Morris Cholai or Melo Karoi Lefanecha. Okay, so God in front of him. But evidently this didn't work out in the end. Reish Mesifta Molach Karei Kamach Rosh Mesifta. I bow down for you, Rosh Mesifta. Mach Sheishanim. But it sounds like in the end they took him down, not that he died. Right? It sounds like they took him down in the end. Not that he died.
I bet I didn't quite catch that.
What?
This is Amarle Karai. I didn't quite catch it.
Karoi kamei mishibrei mesifta. I bow down in front of you, Rosh Mesifta. In other words, I accept that you should be Rosh Mesifta instead of me. Okay? And Rabbi Yitzchak was Moshe for 6 years. Ubasi Mar Rav Yosef did none. And then the Mar Rav Yosef just discussed to submit himself in front of what was his name again? Rabbi Yitzchak?
Mhm.
Yeah, submit himself to Rabbi Yitzchak. He was Shtei Mechza B'Shnaz Kufnun. 2.5 years was indeed the same term as Rabbi Yosef had after Rabba. So in that respect, it's similar. But it sounds like I don't know what it does with the fact with it says that they pushed him off. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
1 second. So the way Rabbi Rabinowitz says on page Reish Nun Aleph, Achsoi means they appointed him, not they took him down. So when it said back here, Achsoi, no, but that's not what it says. It's not marked that way. So here he says that they took Rabbi Avram down. Rabbi Avram, who was 6 years 6 years before this Rav Yitzchak, he was taken down on account of Rav Yitzchak.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was taken down for Rav Yitzchak. And then Rav Yosef was upset about this. I'm still unclear about this. No, they took down. He's saying about they took and they took Rav Yosef, who was a greater chacham, and Rav Yitzchak was upset. Yosef, I understand. They took Rav Yitzchak instead of. It sounds like they took Rav. The way he's learning, I don't think it's shot. The way he's learning it is that they took down the previous guy,
Okay.
Rabbi Avram, on account of Rav Yosef, but then they gave it to Rav Yitzchak instead. Rav Yitzchak said, "Don't worry, you'll go after me." But it sounds like not that way. It sounds like that. It sounds the push shot seems to be that they Rabbi Yitzchak was took over after Rabbi Ram, and after a certain amount of time, after 6 years, they took him down because of this. That Rabbi Yosef was a greater person, and Rabbi Yitzchak had already told him at some point you'll take over from me. And I guess at some point they said, "Okay, your time is up. We're going to give it to Rabbi Yosef," and then he was the Reish Mesifta for 2.5 years until the year Kufnun, when he got when I guess he passed away, and now we're up to 838. Okay.
Okay.
All
So
right. Getting close to the end. Very good. Have a good week.
you too. Take it easy.
Okay, bye.
Bye.